Survivors describe Jay Z and Beyonce being there on at least 3 occasions, laughing, directing, even killing when the moment.
Sorry, excuse me. Survivors describe Jay Z and Beyonce doing what when they were in Africa?
Multiple witnesses describe Beyonce stepping in for the final act on cornered victims, cold and deliberate. Another talked about skin taken afterward. Human skin turned into leather for a tour outfit.
Yes, guys. Beyonce is being exposed for her potential involvement for the alleged Epstein crimes in Africa and for protecting the one person we know was potentially involved in those crimes, Naomi Campbell, who has hung out with Bey, including at Diddy Parties. And guess who is allegedly on top of this tea? You guessed it, Jason Lee.
They ain't called me to go to the Rock Nation brunch. They haven't called me to go to the Gold Party.
To accept being honored
They
at the
haven't
award
called
show?
me when we offered to honor Jay Z at the award show. They didn't call me to go to the press conference about striking the deal with the NFL while we were kneeling for Kaepernick. They didn't call me to ask me what I thought about her hair care product. They didn't call me to offer a free bottle of her perfume. I didn't get to go backstage on her tour for the Renaissance.
Baby, we all know Jason has been hinting at a massive industry reckoning for 2026. And if word on the street is anything to go by, his latest target is none other than the Beyonce herself. Based on reports, Jason basically slammed the Carters for what he calls the silent protection of Naomi Campbell. And before I say anything, let me just warn y'all that this is gonna sound like a movie, but keep in mind we are talking about Holly Weird. So there's this police officer who said he has been with the Lagos State Police Command for 15 years on the force, and he said he couldn't give his name because he is not authorized to speak with the press, but he was speaking out because somebody has to. He started by saying that when the survivors' statements came in detailing Epstein's operations in Nigeria, he was assigned to the initial inquiry team. He said that they interviewed witnesses, collected evidence from remote villages, and what they uncovered was shocking. There were missing kids reports dating back to 2002, strange aircraft sightings, and evidence of locals paid off or threatened to stay quiet. Now, according to this police officer, Epstein had turned parts of the country into a playground for the super rich. Allegedly, and this is exactly what the man said, survivors described Jay Z and Beyonce being there on at least 3 occasions, laughing, directing, and participating in rituals. He said that multiple witnesses described Beyonce stepping in for the final act on those who were cornered, and he even said that one person talked about skin taken afterward and turned into outfits. Oh honey, it gets worse. The police officer said that they have names, dates, locations, and all these are credible enough to open a formal case. Apparently, his team wanted to move fast and issue international arrest warrants and request Interpol red notices to allow them to question Jay Z and Beyonce through diplomatic channels. He literally said they had enough to bring them in for questioning, but then the calls started coming in from the US Embassy contacts and people with direct lines to Washington, and the message was the same every time. Drop it. Shut the file. No further action.
That if we pursue this, if we name these celebrities or push for extradition, billions in development funds, health programs, security assistance would be gone overnight. Sanctions on senior officials in our government, frozen assets, travel bans, diplomatic isolation that would hurt ordinary Nigerian more than...
I know that whatever this officer was saying sounds unbelievable. And honestly, I can't say for certain whether any of it is true. But does it remind you of anyone else? Aren't these the exact same things that Naomi Campbell has been accused of? I mean, there have already been enough indications that she's been heavily involved with some pretty serious crimes. Her name has appeared in Epstein's Little Black Book over 300 times and on flight logs. She's also been heavily linked to the acquisition of models for Epstein, and one of the accusers who was taken to the island even called her out for this, saying, "You saw me at your parties. You saw me in Epstein's homes. You saw me on the plane. You saw me get my hair cut. You saw me on the streets. You saw me." Of course, Naomi denied any connection to Epstein, but when people put pressure on her, she said that she was introduced to Epstein on her 31st birthday by her ex-boyfriend, Flavio Briatore, and that Epstein was always front and center at Victoria's Secret fashion shows. She said that she had no idea Epstein was using her name to attract young women interested in modeling, and as he did with many others, he overstated their acquaintanceship. She even said that she deeply regrets having had any contact with Epstein after his conviction, and said that despite rubbing shoulders with Epstein, who she called one of the hundreds of thousands of people that she stood next to take a picture, she said she was unaware of Epstein's alleged crimes at the time.
This is a direct character assassination. I've always said that I'm not a saint, that I am a work in progress, but I will not be held hostage by my past. What he's done is indefensible. And when I heard of what he'd done, it sickened me to my stomach, just like everybody else. Because I've had my fair share of predators, and thank God that I had good people around me that protected me from this. I mean, right now I stand with the victims. I can't, they're scarred for life. For life. I've rubbed shoulders with hundreds of thousands of.
Regardless, if there's one person who has been implicated with a bunch of receipts, it's Naomi. I mean, the Department of Justice had already released a transcript of an interview with Ghislaine Maxwell, and in it, Maxwell stated that Naomi Campbell likely visited Little St. James, which was Epstein's private island at some point, and was definitely involved with him. Ghislaine Maxwell also claimed that Naomi had a friendship with Epstein that was independent of her own. So, this means that there may have been deeper interactions between Naomi and Epstein that Ghislaine was not even aware of.
Aside from that flight, do you know him from any other thing?
No.
Naomi Campbell?
Yes, I do know Naomi. And I knew her before I met Mr. Epstein and the former President Clinton.
Do you know whether Mr. Epstein separately knew Ms. Campbell?
I think he probably met her through me. That, I imagine.
And so, for those three, Mr. Tucker, Mr. Spacey, and Ms. Campbell, did they ever travel to any of Mr. Epstein's properties, the island or New Mexico?
Not Mr. Tucker, well, not to my knowledge, Mr. Tucker or Mr. Spacey. Naomi Campbell may have.
To where?
She may have gone, I believe she visited him in Palm Beach, and I believe she may have gone to the island.
Baby, how do you deny your involvement after this? Girl, please. And guess what? Recently, it became very clear that Naomi's involvement may have been deeper than anyone could have imagined. See, Epstein discussed purchasing Brazilian modeling agencies, specifically negotiating with Ford Models. And while Ford Models, which once represented Naomi Campbell, denied any contact with Epstein, the documents show his persistent interest in using the modeling industry as a means to meet women. Coincidentally, Epstein showed interest in the East Africa region during the same years Naomi Campbell was establishing her high-profile presence in the same region. In fact, the Kenyan Ministry of Tourism named Naomi Campbell the International Magical Kenya Tourism Ambassador around the same time. Actually, Naomi's primary residence and focus in East Africa is Malindi, a town known for hosting an elite, often secretive, international jet-set community. And she's known for hosting high-end events where these elites are usually in attendance, and we have no idea what sorts of activities go on behind the scenes. Well, let's just say that the things Naomi has been accused of doing down there are literally what that officer was saying about Beyonce. And after he said that, several other people from Nigeria also collaborated on his story. Just like several people from East Africa came forward to claim that they can verify Naomi's involvement. And for those who want more receipts about Bey's involvement, get seated, loves. See, at first people thought that Bey only appeared in those files when she was mentioned in an email talking about her performance at a Formula One race event. So, it was just like, oh, she only got mentioned because of a performance like several other artists. I mean, this was not alarming or implicating in any way. In fact, Beyonce was mostly being accused of knowing what was happening and interacting closely with people who have been accused of crazy crimes in Hollywood and staying silent on all of it. However, later on people realized that her name also appears in the documents from an email by Larry Summer talking about doing at least one thing without any guilt. The context of this email is not really clear, but Larry mentions Beyonce and Serena, and the assumption is that Larry wanted Epstein to introduce him to Beyonce. Apparently, 7 months later, Larry joined Afterpay, and Roc Nation received 75,000 stock options. So Larry did get that introduction, and based on the contents of the email, it's very likely that Epstein was the one who introduced them, meaning he may have had interactions with Beyonce. Honey, there were also other disturbing allegations about how Beyonce allegedly sold her 16 unborns to Epstein so he could, you know what, then proceeded to change the lyrics to her song 16 Carriages to manipulate the situation. Y'all, I know how messed up this sounds, I know, but apparently there were people who said that Beyonce herself alleged this. Here's the thing. What people have always assumed is that the song is an autobiographical country ballad about her long career, and that 16 refers to the age she was when her career truly launched, which was in 1997, when she was around 15, 16. In the context of the song, the carriages represent resent the years passing by and the dreams she had to sacrifice to achieve her current legacy. However, people are now debunking the lyrics and saying that there could be a deeper meaning to the 16 carriages, based on the allegations that elite celebrities are involved in energy harvesting and other ritualistic crimes. You know, the kind that Nicki Minaj has been screaming about for months and alleging that Beyonce and Jay Z are definitely involved. And by the way, a very real lawsuit was filed by Shaquilla Williams against Roc Nation, claiming Beyonce and Jay Z are a part of Epstein's network. Why is no one reporting this? Now, you have to ask yourself why Naomi Campbell, a woman whose name shows up in the e-files more times than a hit record, is still getting the VIP treatment from the Carters. Is Beyonce effectively signaling that whatever Naomi is tied to, she's protected under the Carter umbrella? Jason has been talking about crimes in Hollywood, and if you connect the dots, it really starts to look like a global web of protection. If the allegations in that leaked officer's video are even a fraction of the reality, we're looking at a system where billions in international aid and the highest levels of diplomatic power were potentially used as a hush money shield for the elite. Baby, given everything I've heard about what goes on behind closed doors, I'm not putting anything past anyone. But you let me know whether you believe there's a real connection between Beyonce and Naomi Campbell and their alleged crimes in the comments section below.